Hello everyone, today I am looking at BlazBlue Calamity Trigger. This was, I think, the first BlazBlue game that came out, and so, from the makers of Guilty Gear and other kind of fighting games, this was, this high-octane, high-speed, 2D fighting game that was really, really well-received and over the years. And it's definitely one of the fighting games I did really enjoy playing on the PS3. And since it first came out, this was its first game, but it's had at least 4 sequels and a bunch of crossovers, including BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. So I kind of thought I'd go back to this one and talk about it in general. Yeah, I was never really a fan of Guilty Gear. Again, I feel like, games need to have certain themes and certain distinct characters to really hold it up. And I felt this game definitely had that, while Guilty Gear, I just didn't know, they're all just a bunch of crazy guys. Crazy guys with cool moves. While this one had more of a distinct kind of, story and character design. And I really liked the different types of characters that they did have. So you have your main guy, Ragna, who is kind of your offensive class. He has this gigantic sword that he swings around and does a ton of damage, but he's also very mobile. You have Jin, who has his ice powers and also kind of, is able to maneuver around. And I swear to God, they're probably just Devil May Cry ripoffs, but I don't care. You also have Rachel, who's able to use kind of ranged attacks, weird attacks, able to be more of a defensive kind of unit. You have oh god, I forgot, all the names of the characters, but the guy with the giant nail, the ninja lady with the bow staff, you have the guy made of like black goo and all that stuff, who has the kind of the crazy moveset that's just ridiculous. And and of course, how could I forget Tao Kaka, the giant cat girl. She is a lot of fun to play as, and she's a huge range, really kind of cheap moveset, honestly, but she's a lot of fun to play as. And of course, Hakumen with the gigantic the real samurai sword. He is just an absolute beast and totally unfair when it comes to the fighting game, honestly. And yeah, the roster has just obviously ballooned over the years. What I never really liked or, got was that after, this initial game, Calamity Trigger, each game after that had like a roster increase of like 2 or 3 people. And I thought that is not enough to like really justify a sequel. So I really held off until I think I bought Central Fiction. By that time, the roster had increased almost doubled at that point. So then I felt, okay, that's appropriate. And plus it was on PS4, the next gen, and so I was like, all right, cool. However, it still has the same art style and direction that this original one did, and yeah, I really like it. And so there's something just very anime and very hot, intense about this game. And Ragna's a very, kind of a dumb kind of character. Jin is the more kind of sadistic one. And then, of course, Noelle. Oh my God, actually, I really love Noelle. She has these 2 dual-wield magnums. I swear to God, I'm sorry, I just keep seeing Devil May Cry and everything in this game. And so I love her moveset because she basically is able to fly around, cause fire damage and stuff like that. And so the roster has a pretty good distinct sense and vibe. They also have this really interesting lore about these kind of cities that live outside of where everything outside of the cities rather is totally destroyed and apocalyptic because of this giant war that happened a while ago. And there are 7 great heroes, and a few of them you actually know, but most of them are kind of hidden. And so the basic story is finding out the past about Ragna, Jin, and Noelle, which they kind of have to rehash everything, where they kind of have amnesia or something, but they're all kind of siblings that were raised at this orphanage, and then something really traumatic happened, and so basically they kind of have to recover the past and what is actually going on. And so they're kind of after the same kind of power and competing for, the energy factor that was revealed at the end of the war by the 7 great heroes. And so I love also the design of the symbols. The emblems for each character is all overly super complicated and really cool and well designed. But yeah, so this game has a lot of style going for it, and I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate it as like a fighting game. I'm not really a fighting game guy. Like, I might try to get generally good with every character and, you know, decently good and kind of memorize their kind of main move sets, but I'm not one of these guys who spends like days and hours getting good with one specific person, and you know that I can beat someone at a tournament. It's just not my style. I'm just more of a story guy and interested in experiencing what new ideas this game has to offer. So it's a pretty typical fighting game. You know, your square is your kind of close, fast attack. Triangle is going to be your heavier attack, while circle is going to be your heaviest kind of leg attack. And X is going to be some kind of special attack or some sort of mobility attack. For Rachel, for example, it allows her to hover using these roses and this pentagram all across, you know, the stage, and it can get you out of a very tight situation. I like Rachel because, again, she's able to launch all these little electrical like orbs and then activate them at some time. So it's very stressful fighting her because you just never know when they're going to go off. And she has this very demure, kind of sophisticated, you know, style around her. What I also love about the future BlazBlue games, especially Central Fiction, is that a lot of these side characters, like her butler, for example, become playable characters. And so some of the side characters you even see in this first iteration pretty much are almost all playable. I can't believe the friggin' Squirrel Girl got her own moveset as well. I think that's pretty crazy. And yeah, and of course you can pull off your like super awesome cool move by doing a certain, you know, combo, and then you'll do your ultimate thing. So, you know, Ragna the Blood Edge, you know, he has this giant kind of like void attack he does with his giant blade. In terms of fighting games, I really like this one. I mean, my favorite one is still Soul Calibur, but this is a very close second, and it has a very distinct style. It's very fast paced. It has a nice move set to it. And yeah, I think it deserves to be one of the more played fighting games out there. The story itself is told through, you know, normal arcade mode where, you know, Ragna will go through a series, or whoever character you choose will go through 10 or so battles. The one difference between this game and other games is that it feels almost like a visual novel at times. Like, there is a lot of dialogue, and to be quite frank with you, I think a lot of it I do not care for. A lot of it is just very whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And some of it is very kind of goofy, comical stuff that goes on for way longer than it should. And so I kind of prefer more condensed stories. But then again, again, they kind of rehash the same story in kind of, you know, each game. Like, oh yeah, no, I already know this about, you know, the Imperial City and whatnot. The story itself, in Central Fiction, at least in the later games, they try to do this very extreme, complicated thing that is honestly bizarrely out there. I think I wrote it down once because I tried and said, this is absolutely insane. I have to like write this down not to forget it. But it's kind of this thing where there's this machine that has makes people's dreams come true, and they're trying to create a way to interface with it. And part of that is turning Noelle into this like android called V11 or something. And it was just one of these over-complicated, over-ridiculous anime plots that I just did not care for. Like, usually there's, like, the plot that's, you know, complicated but at least coherent. But here it was just kind of just a bunch of complicated nonsense, really. And it was kind of neat, but, like, just way more dialogue and way more complicated than it need to just describe and display the same kind of idea or story. Anyway, though, yeah, so don't come to BlazBlue for the story because it's really almost not worth getting into, but you should get into the combat and the gameplay because this game is pretty easy to learn and a lot of fun to play. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it. I'll see you later, guys. Bye.